issues. And they're going to send someone back out and lock the closet. So right now we're just operating off my computer. And I want to make sure, Janet, you can still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thanks a lot. So we have 7 people here in person. We have Janet online, so we have a quorum in person, so we can have the meeting. I just remind Janet by operating rules, that I guess the county's still following this. If you're not in attendance, you can't vote on issues. So Mr. Salva, you as a at-large member will be voting, or an alternate will be voting today.
Understood. Thank you.
With that, the information has been sent out by Regina and Ken again. I appreciate all the work they put in. We have usually several phone conversations, the email conversations, trying to get this pulled together. Couldn't be done without them. But you've seen a copy of the agenda, so I'm looking for approval of the agenda. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussing, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the same. That passes unanimously.
And you want to mention the public?
Yes. So this is a combination in-person virtual meeting, and members connected virtually as well as any public will be allowed to speak on issues at the appropriate time, and I'll give everyone the opportunity to do that when that's called for.
I don't see any public right now online.
Neither do I on mine. Ken, well, let me just start with Chair's comment. I'll keep this very brief. One is I'm encouraged by the attendance in general, even though we had to go last second because of some emergencies last time. We had one emergency this time, someone who said they were going to attend and can't make it, but otherwise everybody's here. But there's nobody who was close to having any issues with attendance the way I saw. So you want to update that in just a minute. I'll just go ahead and make a couple of other brief comments. Second thing I wanted to let you know, and I'm not as active now with the Florida Association of Counties as I was when I was working and before I retired, but I still do 5 or 6 things or 8 or 9 presentations for them. So I train commissioners all over the state. Last week, I got to do one here in Gainesville for one of their advanced classes. Commissioner Wheeler and Commissioner Alford were both there. They both made a point to come up and tell me they said they're really excited about how the Rural Concerns Committee is functioning now and how it's working. That's always good to hear, especially when it's voluntary, and I want you to know about that. And then the third thing, a little bird told me that Cindy Sanders got an award. She got the Extension Professional of the Year Award from Florida Farm Bureau. So it's not always, but it typically goes a lot of times to someone in the county extension office. So there's people in 67 counties who vie for that, but Cindy's contributions, not only locally, but state, is recognized by that group, and she's the single person who was recognized this year. So congratulations. Next week. And then the last thing, and we'll just put under Chair's comments, give us the update on your office, Cindy.
So we are in the office. We hope to have a certificate of occupancy later tomorrow on auditorium. Fingers crossed, we've been communicating with me every week. So hopefully we'll get a certificate of occupancy. We might hold our November meeting there. We'll just have to see about that. We do not have our LCD projectors in because they're all back orders. Furniture's still on back order, but that'll be loaded. Our office ready. I have to clear my time to drive down to Newberry, so good.
Okay, great. Ken, you want to go to attendance then?
Okay, so I was just gonna say for everybody, watch your emails and we will, include that information if we're able to get all of the tech requirements straightened out in time for November, then we'll have the meeting. watch your emails for that information.
And everybody attendance wise is doing fine. And you'll see there's an item of business that we're going back. The county sort of changed this policy again. So we probably should go in and change our bylaws to make it consistent with county policy.
So, yes, nobody's in jeopardy at this time. We have 4 out of 6. Requirement is you have to have at least 3 out of 6, so everybody is in the requirement.
And just so everyone's aware, I'm showing online now that Mr. Baines has joined us and Krista Cubulus is back online with us as well.
Right.
So we have a significant number of people.
Mr. Loftus is joining. I want to mention the new members. Mr. Loftus is
So,
coming.
yeah, I'm gonna have them go ahead and introduce themselves. So Jordan, you attended a little bit of the last meeting virtually, so tell the group a little bit about yourself. And at the same time, if you remember which seat you're filling on the advisory committee.
That I don't,
Okay,
I think, well, I'm willing to be Park Bureau. I don't just said, I don't know who was Park Bureau. Park Bureau membership. My name is Jordan Halligan. I am a University of Florida employee. I work with Park Bureau. But I worked with this for a few years and I really like this. But we moved to Arthur, about 3 years ago, so.
okay. So we have 2 Archer area representatives now because that's where Chris is out that direction as well. And Curtis, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name's Curtis Watkins. I'm part of the Alachua County Advisory. My first time doing this, I'm very excited. Small farm out of town, so we're northeast Alachua County. Don't know what to really expect. I'm very excited to be
Good, welcome.
here.
So, and to give everyone perspective, so Jordan took the position that Winston Rushing had, and you took the position that Candace Aho had. So those are the 2 areas that are represented in the county. So we look forward to your participation. Next item is approval of the minutes. Since we had to go to a working committee meeting last time instead of a full-blown meeting, we need to go back and approve the minutes of 6:15 and 9:21. 9:21 is of the workshop, so we can do that jointly if people's reviewed them. I looked over them, I didn't see anything there glowing or that I thought need to be changed, but did anybody see anything that needs corrected? If not, I'll accept the motion for approval.
This is not for the bylaws, is it?
Excuse me, no, this is for the meeting minutes.
Okay.
Okay, Larry. Okay, Mr. Hall's moved approval of both the meeting and the workshop, and it's been seconded by Ms. Chance. So any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Okay, that motion carries as well. We have some old business we need to go through. One other comment that I'll just make, and we have a smaller group here, but we did have majority of the committee on the last one. We tried to conclude the meeting closer to 5:30, and I think it works a lot better. So some of you, if you participated in the last meeting, has seen all of this stuff. But the first item of old business we need to go back to is review and approval of the Rural Concerns Advisory Committee Annual Work Plan for 2021. We fine-tuned it last time, got everybody's comments included in, and Ken's, Regina, when she sent out the material, she sent out where it was, and then the suggestions that were made last time has sort of been incorporated in, highlighted, underlined, stuff like that. Do you want to say anything else, Ken?
I've got a few things highlighted here that may need, a little smoothing, in terms of what the committee's intent is, or most of these things to review or investigate, or like item D here, telehealth services method here to stay, or just to crisis is rural broadband a limiting factor, just to clarify the committee's intent with that maybe, and things like that. Maybe it's a simple matter of, like on E, inserting review broadband opportunity. So I highlighted those. Under 2A, education, maybe, I don't know if the committee wants to clarify who educating who on that. And B, 10 of reviewing these issues about roads and bridges, that something to clarify. I think that probably just need to remove that note and let that item be under policy concerns. This one, the committee did discuss this somewhat, and maybe they're satisfied with this item as long as everybody's clear on kind of action the committee would work with on that. And those were the things that I highlighted. The committee may have other things.
Okay, so if we could just go back to the top, hopefully everyone's had a chance to read these, and James and Larry and Jean and Cindy and I were all present on the last one. I can't remember who all else was because we had more people virtually, but we had a pretty healthy discussion of all of this. So if it's possible to focus on the things that's been highlighted, and it's a difficult situation because all the advisory committees have to come up with these things to look at. And I think it's more a roadmap for us than is the county checking on anything or what we're doing. So that being the case, we've probably spent a fair amount of time on this. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and express any concern you have, but let's try to be efficient on this so we can have time to discuss the other aspects of our business. So on that first thing, the couple of areas that that Ken has highlighted, any comments or thought on that?
Just looking from.
Hold on
with
for a
somebody
second,
else.
Mr. Baines.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Hall, go ahead. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Baines, do you have anything to comment on that one specifically?
No, I was just gonna talk about the highlighted portion. I was just gonna say that. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Baines.
Oh yeah, I was gonna pretty much say I agree with the highlighted ones with, far as the telehealth and the education. I think they're definitely needed. And so I don't have a problem with any of the highlighted marks.
Okay, thank you for that. So Mr. Hall would suggest, and I, that last part is rural broadband a limiting factor. I think you suggested that could be removed, Larry. Is that correct? Anybody else want to comment on that one? Okay, on the next one, broadband opportunities and limitations in rural Alachua County related to expansion of telemedicine to rural and underserved committees. And if there's no objections, I guess the thing, because I've heard Commissioner Alford talk about it. Representative Kamek has been saying a lot, but there's a lot of people and you know, I've been reading some stuff lately where it looks like the schools say it's not our really responsibility to provide broadband, but it's got to be explore partnerships, I think, related to broadband opportunities and limitations in Alachua County. So Ken, we're going to put in explore partnerships,
Items,
explore,
this is a new item.
no,
E, okay.
explore broadband opportunities and opportunities / partnerships and limitations in rural Alachua County.
I would like to think if we didn't get the partnership, it still would be the county's responsibility to provide broadband, you know, to the rural area that's not able to get the internet or get any service. I would think that would still be part of the county responsibility.
It's possible. I don't disagree with that. The one thing I always tell the commissioners, and I think we have to keep it in mind too, is there's fiscal realities and there's certain amounts and there's people concerned with tax levels and stuff like that. And they have X number of things to deliver and X number of dollars and only go so far. And broadband at the higher speeds is still relatively expensive. And we heard Commissioner Alford talk about, and I've noticed being done in some other places in the country, but they're actually making the mobile hotspots available at libraries and stuff like that, where they can be checked out. You know, they'll have 10 at 3 different libraries, so it gives 30 in the county. Doesn't solve the problem, but that's a partnership between library districts and county governments and a lot of times schools. And so that's the only reason, but I hear what you're saying, Mr. Bates.
Higher.
It's really a big challenge when we're spread out like we are. And I don't know if some of you notice, but you can be in urban areas. And East Gainesville has sort of been an example, but you can be in an urban area. There's sometimes at this small town I grew up outside of in Indiana, I get better internet signal on my phone. And outside that small town, where the only place that has an internet connection is at the library, than I do sitting in my house down the road here. You know, so it can be real patchy and it's really expensive getting it out, especially when you go to that last mile. That's fine with me. Any objection? Okay.
I can't
Go ahead,
think of
James.
any.
Yeah, I can't hear anything either. Do they have
Okay.
microphones?
You want Joel to try and dial this for him now? I think he's got it. you said.
We'll try here in just a minute. We'll take this last comment and then we'll take about a 30-second break trying to get the phone system working. Go ahead, James.
Just that I'm not aware. That what if we say, no, yeah, just an opportunity for.
Okay, so what I will say to the people online is watch your screens because Ken is trying to type this stuff in, so you should be seeing it live. I'm going to have to go dead for a few seconds and turn off my computer audio so we can try this so our eardrums don't get blown out. So don't panic. If we can't get it through the phone, I'll turn back on the computer and we have to repeat stuff, we'll repeat stuff. So we're going to a period of silence if the system doesn't work for the phone dial.
Everybody cross your fingers.
I gotta get my other one turned off here. Come on.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting message followed by pound. Do not enter any number.
See it right there at the top. Webinar ID, very top.
And who wants broadband? We spend it. Says, you know, it said you were muted, so are we off mute?
I heard you. What we did.
The host would like you to unmute your microphone. You can press star 6. You are unmuted.
Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear. We can hear you fine, but it's the other people in the room.
My computer turned off, so we're operating with a couple mics spread around the room. So maybe you can hear me better.
Yeah, like before you even did whatever you did, we can hear you fine. We can hear you clearly. It was just the other people in the room.
What about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
All right, perfect. Okay, so we're back on line live. So we're going back through our list of changes. Spread the mic out. Hit as much as you can. Yeah. You want to put them over here? On each table or? Wherever you think will capture everybody's best.
Maybe the other one over there should. Yep. Everybody speaks better.
Okay, so James suggesting something different there at the end of our meeting.
Yeah, to broaden it to say opportunities for alternative financing.
How about alternative financing, including grants and real estate loans?
number two, the highlighted, Ken highlighted the issue of education on there, if we wanted to define it. If you're unaware of the history, and you may have some information. So it used to be, and the university still puts out the economic impact of agriculture, natural resources, land in the county in Florida. But it used to be that they did one specifically for Alachua County, 5 to 7 years. And Alachua County Farm Bureau was instrumental in that. And they put a small amount of money into it, and the university put it out. And they have, I know I've gone out and talked to them with grants, stuff like that. So, to me, when I think of education, I mean, opportunities like that. On the other hand, you know, the committee may decide that there's other opportunities like a specific day coming up. I mean, something that you want to send letters in that editor or something like that. So I defining education, but I think it's really broad. Whether you could any desire to define that or change the percent, help make it more sense.
I have a question.
Okay.
The question is the stuff that he add in, is this been voted on, or is this for like another agenda for another day, or what's going on?
This has been discussed. It will be voted for at the end of our discussion after these changes.
Oh, okay. Because the reason why I was asking, because it's being changed, but you know, I know far as what was there before, well, I know he just kind of adding to it, but I was just wondering.
We can still add to it. We're just highlighting some of the things that the committee discussed last time and tried to get them written as we verbalize. And we just want to make sure we're saying what we thought.
It's not a bad point. I don't, like you said, I don't know how much opportunity we have, but maybe we could say explore public education opportunities to report on the scope, size, and importance of agriculture related.
I was just gonna add to that, maybe awareness. If you don't like the word education, or
Yeah, I like that better.
something about awareness. Provide public awareness or something. I think we need to continue marketing the size, scope, and the importance of agriculture in Alachua County, and economic opportunity as well. Maybe not education, maybe public awareness. I don't know how to word it.
I think that was pretty good.
When you say awareness, what you mean by awareness? Like
Marketing agriculture to our citizens of Alachua County, the importance, the scope, the size, and our economic impact to Alachua County.
And promotion.
Well, I think you spend more money on advertising and promotion than you actually do educating.
Any other discussion on that one? Okay, let's move to the next one. Scope, size, and importance of county rural roads and bridge systems for agriculture-related prosperity. I talked about this with the commission at the training. So, and I dug into some stuff in more detail, and I did it by district in Florida. So counties are responsible, and it includes the interstate. So total road mileage in the state of Florida is about 121,000. About 59% of that is county maintained roads. 30% is city road mileage maintained. The state only maintains about 12,000 miles. So it's heavily on it. I also look, and I just have to remember roughly Alachua County, but by district transportation, I believe Alachua County has 231 miles of unpaved roads. And a huge portion of roads in Alachua County are roads.
That's what the county maintains, 231 miles?
County responsible.
That's county maintained unimproved dirt roads.
They're not necessarily, yeah, if they're county-owned roads, they go to
Correct.
private. Dirt roads, county-owned, they.
So is this comment meant to be, we are scoping
And talking about the size and importance, or are we trying to define that for agricultural prosperity?
I would say both. The reason is, if you go through the economic impact model that the university has done for years, if you make some assumptions about changing the road conditions, you can see what it does to agriculture in rural areas. So you could actually do it that way. At the same period of time, numbers, and don't hold me to these, the number of unpaved road miles in Alachua County in 18 was pretty. But I think it could cover both of those. Probably not a great answer to.
I think I'm just a little confused by the statement.
why don't we say like review or monitor like we've got the next one, or take action?
I agree.
Word there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like, because the county commission, we advise the county commission, pretty sure they're very aware that the growth. What we're trying to get at this.
Well, and I also think that this needs to include, not to jump into both feet, but there's a lot of environmental impact that a lot of these roads, bridges, and things that don't necessarily get paid attention to. And I could point out a handful of examples. So I think, you know, the action, as Cindy said, you know, a call to action for this would be really important to try to help educate the public that what we're trying to do is improve accessibility, specifically to a lot of the forestry products, pulpwood, chipping salt, stuff like that. There's a lot that I've seen that goes on that's very detrimental to the environment. Accessibility is a big problem, especially as we've had, you know, above average rainfall through these storms and whatnot. Bridges washing out. I'm sure you all probably remember the Northeast 100th Avenue that washed out after the couple of storms came through. We were part of the contractors that prepared that road. So there's people back in there, not only just residential, but also for ag products who can't get their products to market. So I think that's kind of at least from my perspective, one thing that I've noticed is this big problem.
So suggestions on changing?
Well, I think that, you know, again, to Cindy Sanders' point of the call to action, you know, like, or you know, what are we working towards? So scope, size, importance. Well, what are we doing to help the residents of Alachua County with their accessibility problems, with the environmental impacts?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but last meeting, didn't the county commissioner tell us that they were using some kind of metric system to define which road was what, like they're already scoping this.
They're changing the algorithm, and actually I asked Commissioner Alford about that last week, and he doesn't have any more information on that now. But it's gonna be more, weight on not only distance, but more weight on mileage, total miles traveled. But until they actually show that, and you see those distributions, you know, and she's not able to tell me what they're.
I also have a suggestion about this. Advise the commission of the importance of additional funding for county rural roads, bridges system.
I follow what you're saying, and they use mileage as a price algorithm. How much mileage where?
Well, I think that goes to your point of, if mileage calculations won't help agriculture necessarily, they'll help rural citizens. And not help agriculture in rural.
Almost have to have some kind of a study on the amount of tonnage or production that is carried. I don't know how you do that.
Very tough, you know, the economic and also environmental impact that all have is very difficult. And a lot of these roads, to be honest, are not actually county owned or maintained. And there's still issues that we have to, you know, put up with. And again, I see it on a regular basis. Homemade culverts and watershed distortions and things of that nature. So these are all things that I'm trying to, myself and the people that I'm hopefully representing, you know.
Right, and, you know, it doesn't help if you go through a rural area and you got a 30-inch, culvert in one place, and the next one 12 inches, water doesn't flow right. I mean, I read about the folks over in Dixie County. If you go over Dixie County, when you see the roads are built up about, in some instances, 3 feet above where the houses are, no land use planning. And, you know, it's just, where is that?
Like Larry.
Additional funding, there's some additional funding.
Any other comments? Hey, Kim, can you go down to the next one?
That should be deleted.
So, go ahead.
I question, why do we have to say potential?
So I'll just give you my take on it. Nothing's free. So it costs money to do some of these. It's a funding type issue. So there's people who do surveys all the time. It doesn't matter if they're phone or through mail. You know, it's gonna cost money, and you need to get a representative sample. And I think that's one of the issues that we could do. If we could figure that out, we might be able to say that to the county commission, every 3 years, you need to allocate $7,500 to do this, or whatever the cost might be.
Do we need to say that a potential methodology?
So, yeah, so this was something that I kind of added. The idea behind it being that we're all coming with our own anecdotal and like our anecdotal experience, and then obviously our either jobs or whatever title we have, reason for being here. And so I was just thinking, you know, I know people in the south of the county, and I know the problems that they have, and I feel like I could advocate for them and some ag-related, businesses and folks, but, and I think that we, as a broader group, have a pretty good spread of what's going on in the county and what kind of issues we have. But I just wonder if, like our chair is saying, if there's a way that we could get, less biased, I guess, just less biased information that we can act on a broader, broader knowledge base. But that could also include this, as the university's coming out with economic impact reports, or as there's already material being developed around the county, that we somehow send it to our, county staff, and then we all have reading materials that are relevant before the meeting, or something like that. I don't know. There's just thought, because I think it's like, since I've been here, we were able to adjust
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what she said, and I know I'm not there and I can't vote. But I just want to, give my opinion. I think it was good as is. Maybe, we could have fine tuned um the broadband, or, far as it's like, if we can find you know, grants, or if we can find that the other resources, collaborators, but to put it there and say, hey, if we don't get any collaborators, we won't help, or we won't do our part. That's what it almost seems like. But I was okay with it the way it was. I just want to say that.
Okay, any suggested changes on that? I would like to throw, one new one in there, and it's on point J. New discussion of energy conservation or generation. I'd like generation methods, and that relates to some of the issues that came up with the solar location. Archer? I think you gotta look at both sides of that issue.
Going back to G, do you want to change anything on that, or take it out, or, it's just an idea, I don't know. It just seems a little. Maybe, I mean, that's the whole point, is we don't have to decide on a methodology now, but nor do we have to have a methodology, it's provide potential.
You're thinking of like an annual survey that we go out on some, I don't know what the rules of the county are with Florida and laws on survey things, but like a survey that would say, if you're in System Washington County, click here for questions, tell us about it.
Yeah, or if the data's already been gathered, then, having a way for us to, spread that data so that we're all kind of on the same. I mean, there's surveys going out all the time. It doesn't seem like our own thing, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, potentially, maybe it could piggyback on something else. Maybe they'd like to do something less formal, because I think they do some less formal surveys and add a question or two to it that may relate to some of this stuff. I don't know, I would say from my perspective, and I was sort of hoping when I retired from the university, I'd be out of the plan of work business. But I'm not, these aren't a list of thou shalls or things that we're thinking about. Obviously, we want to get expressed as good as we can. Any recommended changes to that?
What about if you inserted after discuss a potential information gathering methodology to integrate rural concerns?
Fine with me.
Survey information data.
And we added and generation on J. Do we have anything else?
Dr. Clauser,
Hold on for just a second, Chris, and I'll get to that. Yeah, okay, to you, Chris.
the one you just added in generation 2, if you could scroll back up to that one. After rural area, could you say, or perhaps put, may impact the agricultural community and or the quality of life in the rural area? Because I think that was the issue of the concerns of some of the folks.
J, agriculture community and the quality of life. Chris is suggesting.
You could say quality of life in the rural area.
quality of life, it seems like it's also environmental impact in the rural areas too.
I think she might have mentioned environmental impact, but I think there was some concern. We had those folks that came on our meeting, oh, I don't know, 6 months ago or whenever. There was an issue in Archer, and some of their concerns were with noise, or I don't know what all else they had a problem with, but there was some issue there. They were going to impact their quality of life, in other words. So I just threw it in there.
Other suggestions?
The thing I noticed is looking, I know in a couple of places we talk about county commissioner, one place we talk about BOCC. Wonder if Kim might just go through and every time we talk about the county, use the consistent term.
Which term would you prefer? County commission or BOCC?
I'm fine with BOCC, but I guess some people might not know what that actually is.
I think it's style is, you put it in parentheses after you say it the first time, BOCC,
So-
and then
Right, you can do that, that way.
And or after agriculture.
And or after life.
Agriculture, community, and or quality of life, I think is what James said, and I would agree with that.
Right, okay, Ken's got that in now. Okay, one last chance, is there anybody else that wants to propose anything differently? If not, I'll accept a motion to make these changes and transmit to the county, as required.
We'll move that the annual work plan 122 as presented and modified, adopted and presented.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion? Not hearing any, and we're limited to the folks here in the room. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Okay, that passes unanimously as well. The third item in old business is, and I'm gonna let Cindy Phillips in on this, in more detail, but there was a request for a letter of support for naming the arena at the Alachua County Agriculture and Equestrian Center, honor of County Commissioner Lee Pinkerton. So that's correct, it's just the arena. Okay.
So, the city of Newberry, Mayor Marlowe requested this and wanted to concerns and write a letter. He also asked me, and I received letters from Alachua County Farm Bureau, I believe, Alachua County Cattlemen, in support of naming, the arena, or the ag equestrian arena after Lee Pinkerton. I got a call yesterday from Gina Peoples, Assistant County Manager. I think that's going on the agenda. Let's see. It can be next Tuesday. Put that on an agenda, it might be too late. I don't know, Ken, if it'd be late to include another letter.
Commission date again?
I think Gina, I think she has it, and you can check on the agenda, but I think she has it for next Tuesday. It's gonna be on, I believe she has already the other three letters. What's the city of Newberry? You have Vice's wrote one too. I don't know this, if we have time or not.
I think Gina has an item on the agenda now.
Naming, yes.
It might be possible to do the letter with that item.
It's already on.
Of course, Regina and Ken don't have anything to do.
I'm not for sure, I'm pretty sure, I can ask Gina, but I'm pretty sure she told me on next.
Well, have they published, I haven't looked, but they usually publish. Oh, okay.
They usually publish Friday before the meeting. We'll try, I mean, I don't, you know.
I'll ask her.
For new members, could you
Yeah.
talk about who he is?
Yes, so Lee is a former county commissioner in Alachua County. I think he served, 4 or 5 terms. His, family has a history here. His father was a medical doctor, I believe, or still in traffic, a lot of the stuff out around, Alachua with the Progress Center or whatever that's called, that development out there. He owns that land. They own the land on the other side of town where they have the wild beef steak, the corn, all that. Lee was, very involved. I just happened to serve, get appointed. There's been 3 committees that study the location of that fairground. The county actually bought land. It was gonna be out there right by, about a mile from the old Alachua County Extension Office. When the county basically did the initial soil survey, it was very dry. We got a lot of rain and it came up with, 5 acres short on the acreage they needed for. A lot of people were wanting to postpone to just do it, and Lee sort of jumped on it, make sure it made it through, because it's been something that's been discussing for how long, 20 years.
So property adjacent to Olivia Brown?
Yeah, the Weisman property, I think it was called. And I can tell you, being on that committee, we looked at over 300 different sites of locating Alachua County. We spent a year meeting, sometimes multiple times a month, going through all.
She said, y'all have a little time. She said it's on the night meeting agenda.
November, okay.
That's not quick, Gina.
So, what's the pleasure of the group? I'd like to hear your discussion. I will add one comment.
And I just wanted to add to that, Lee Pinkerton has always been a supporter of agriculture in this county as a commissioner in this area. If it wouldn't have been for him, I'm not sure we would have, start today and have that. By 2 weeks ago, seeing him get out and come walk through and look at it, and
I was at, I met Lee randomly in a restaurant, as a matter of fact, and, was someone who got me excited and encouraged me to volunteer and get, because I told, I was expressing my concerns that I have as a rural citizen and a farm owner. And he says, well, Kurt, you just gotta get involved. And he says, I can help you do that, but find anywhere to get your foot in the door just to help. And so I would like to add that Lee was very generous, and good mentor to me. And just a brief time that I've known him just in a restaurant. So, and to Cindy's point, he has been a very good proponent of agriculture and, very genuine individual. So I support that.
to be clear, the request didn't come from me, it did come from the city of Newberry, and they called me to get stakeholders involved, yes.
So is there any comments from anybody online? From the committee? So I see Mr. Baines.
Yeah, is this, I know she said we have until the end of November, but are y'all trying to make a decision today?
So it'd be November the 9th, the commission meets twice. So it's sooner than November.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think my only thing is I don't have nothing against Lee or anything like that. I think he was a good mayor, but at the same time, I think that if it can be a neutral name, I think that's just my opinion. To come up with, I think that would be great.
I'll add to
Well-
that. I'm not a huge fan of naming things after people. We don't name them well in Cherokee in this county. We don't represent all populations of the county well. Again, nothing against Lee. I think he served a great role as county commissioner. I think he was very successful in what he did, and one of those things was moving a fairground as part of his job. But I think there are a lot of physical things to look at. Naming in the long run sometimes doesn't go well in 40 or 50 years upon reflection. I'm not saying that would happen this time, but I do think it's something we have to consider. And does it represent all of our citizens well? Because it is the citizens part. It is the citizens fairground. It's their money going towards it. So I guess I do have some concerns with naming things after people.
So this is Janet. Yeah, I haven't really developed any concerns about naming anything after Lee. I'd be perfectly supportive of that. And if I were there to vote, I would vote in favor of it.
So, Dr. Claus, this is Chris DeCuba.
Just a second, Chris. Jean got the floor next, and then I'll come to you, Chris.
I just would put in a yes. That's my question, Shannon.
Okay, Chris?
So I was just gonna say that, and I don't have a problem with naming it after anybody or even Commissioner Pinkinson, but Bill Brown was the county director. How many years was Bill Brown county director of Alachua County? And he just passed away.
Bill Brown's name is on our building, and the board already passed it. It's already been dedicated, and the plaque's already on the wall for our extension office.
Oh, okay.
He was the extension agent for years.
How many years? I couldn't hear you, Cindy.
Well, he had 26 or 7 here, and then he had a few years in Gilchrist County.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I just was going to throw his name out there, so I'm glad so that's the new extension office is named after Bill. Okay. I'm glad to hear that.
Fundraiser side of me also says you can't name it after a donor to the fair board or donations to the fair board in the future. It cuts down donation options in the anybody who might donate, to whoever might donate to the fairground. You can't name it after a donor in the future.
Oh, correct, yes.
Well, he could donate. I'm saying if a big donor came in and you lost that opportunity.
Oh,
We always have multiple names, I mean, Florida, Pittsburgh.
UF, they need to follow, they need to figure out how to follow UF, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, a Florida field at Pittsburgh or whatever, They keep doing it. So I think everybody's had a fair chance to comment. I personally don't have, an issue if it's as presented here. When I first saw it, I thought they were asking about naming the entire equestrian center. That does, I think, bring up future donation type issues and things like that. I think Lee's been instrumental. But in terms of if they want to name the arena after Lee, I think that's fine. That's different than what I initially heard it. And he's been involved not only in community, but in the agriculture community. And, and I think he's worked as hard as anybody to make that creation out there. So as long as it's arena, I personally don't have objections, but I don't think you want to name it the Alachua County Fair and Equestrian Center. It's the arena that would happen.
Rod, we need to make that clear in our motion because I am Lee. And Mayor Marlowe came to me as well as Mike Gates, the manager. I think their intention was to name our facility. But we already have our building already dedicated to Bill Brown. And so Gina Peoples came to me and said, was this the arena? Or I said, I understood it to be just the arena, not the entire facility. Whoever makes the motion, make that clear. That's what we're saying.
have a motion?
Can you say that again?
But the question is, do we have a motion on, naming the arena at the Alachua County Fairground and Equestrian Center with Lee Pinkham?
In the interest of time, I have no dog in this hunt. I will move that this committee authorize the chairman to sign a letter recommending that the county name the arena after former commissioner Lee Pinkham.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been seconded. Curtis, is there any further discussion?
Yes, I don't know her name, but I just want to echo what she said. When we start going back to naming buildings and doing statues and of people of Gainesville and just the history of Gainesville, it's just, it doesn't represent, everyone in the community. And so on that behalf, even though I'm not there to vote, I would, if you can keep my name off the letter. I know it represents the board, but I wouldn't approve of that letter as far as me go, as me, myself, my personal opinion.
The only name that will be on the letter will be mine, and that depends if the motion passes. It won't be individually. And so what that means is that the majority of the members voted in favor of it. So there won't be any name on it, but it would be representative that a majority of the committee voted in favor of it, Mr. Payne.
I understand. I just wanted to be on the record that I know we recording live, so I just wanted it to be on the record.
Sure. Yes, and we appreciate your input. Any
I was
other?
just gonna say, and just remember, the board has to approve this, yea or nay, so they may have an idea of somebody else or something else, so this is just a recommendation to follow the Newberry. Newberry's recommendation.
The city of Newberry has been very helpful in contributing to this stuff.
City of Newberry purchased our 5 acres where our auditorium and office is, so it's a partnership.
Tongue in cheek, maybe we'll have an opportunity, we can have the Larry Hall pig pen. Lee Pinkerton Arena. Okay? $150, we'll start the business today.
That's what I'm fundraising.
Silent auction. Okay, hearing no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion, which is the naming of the arena, and we're being clear on the arena, at the fairgrounds in the Equestrian Center, indicate by saying, aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, that motion passes. 7-1. 7-2. 6-2, excuse me. Missed someone's hand. You have yours up, okay. Thanks, James. We're correct. Next item is follow-up on potential alternative locations.
Mr. Chair, we're gonna do, item BB, priorities.
Oh, excuse me, I skipped. Yes, let's go back. I skipped over B, sorry. Identification of priorities, for our next meeting. Some of you had to leave a little bit early and you weren't here when we ended. I've looked at the calendar going forward, and, we tend to average 9 or 10 meetings during the year. I believe that our meeting date would be at the start of the Christmas week. And so I'm thinking we probably aren't going to have a meeting in December. So, we need to get a couple of ideas, so we can start contacting people for the November meeting. So, and no one has ideas, and I've got a couple, that I'm interested to hear what you're interested in.
We had a list, and unfortunately, I don't have.
Well, this is the work plan.
No, but we had a whole list of topics for future. be interested to see.
Just a list.
Yes.
So the one that I was thinking of is we're gonna invite the new county commissioners to share interest. So we've had Commissioner Alfred, we still haven't had Commissioner Prithia, and she's been in office now for a year. So, and then based on last time, and Cindy, have you had your meeting yet on the slaughter facility?
We've had several.
But, you know, she could update us on that, and then for the older time members on here, so Larry and Cindy and Jean and I guess, are still from that time period. But she was working on a local food system. And spent a considerable amount of time with. But it would be her first time coming to the committee since she's been elected, so I was thinking that might be a potential.
Are they having board meetings on?
Means Board of County Commissioners, yes, Tuesday. They usually do a morning and evening session, but
Yeah,
sometimes they
11:30.
just do morning.
The one at the bottom that says time sensitive, is that something we can speak?
Say that again.
The one at the bottom that says time sensitive, is that something we can speak? You already had it? Okay.
We do it after we got bonds, Zoom bonds?
Yeah.
So a lot of these have been done.
The other one that sort of came up and was a little controversial for the three people who were here and those online. Ms. Werner, brought up last time, and, most property appraisal property appraiser officers have someone who works in the agriculture community. I think there's a misunderstanding on how they do their appraisals, where the courts fit in the system and stuff like that. But, we could also potentially check with the property appraiser's office and see if they have an agricultural appraiser person identified, and have them come and inform the committee what rules they follow and stuff like that.
Be good next year because the term notices have already gone out for this year. If rules the adjustment for the meeting start, what is about. They'll probably be pretty busy, so maybe sometime.
Okay.
A good time to have.
I think if we put 2 new items on the agenda, that probably maxes us out and get done. Does anyone else have another suggestion?
Alright. We have, like looking for the work plan and matching our goals, objectives to, our meeting. I wonder if, something that we haven't, I don't know if that's been in the, anytime we've talked about the broadband, so, can anyone remember what the interval has been between last time we were presented with something about broadband results?
So,
We talked to, but
and touch on it related to something else, but we did touch on it. It was on the, emergency 911 system, and we had the fire chief out a couple of times, talk to us about problems in rural areas, getting information out, being able to get back to the hospitals and dispatchers and stuff like that. And I would say Cindy and Larry, that was 2 years ago, Andy.
I was just looking, we had Cox here, maybe that was 3 years ago, we had, Kevin Monroe and Maureen. When Cox talked about broadband.
So those were the last couple of times we were probably remember. The, one that came up, and I can't remember if you were on the committee, but, and I can't remember who actually did it now, but they had a sort of a reverse auction on broadband, delivery, and, they had something like $27 million to spend by going on a reverse auction. They actually put out contracts at, for about $9.4 million. There'll be some more coming out. It was done by one of the federal groups, and the thing I remember that Elon Musk group, SpaceX, got one of the contracts. There were 2 contracts in Alachua County, but I haven't followed up on any of that stuff.
For the Starlink, for the Starlink internet broadband?
That's what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, we put our deposit on, by the way.
So do we.
Because we are in desperate need of broadband in rural Alachua County. I mean, desperate need. And what's crazy is Cox Cable actually has their internet line running right down 231, all the way to La Crosse. And I live just a couple miles down 126, and they just put like a little T branch in there and send it down to our house because, my girlfriend works from home and she works with the American Society of Plant Biologists. And so we actually have a thing where she does most of her work from home, but has to rent a space in downtown Gainesville to do the rest of her job. So the broadband thing and the rural accessibility is a big time factor for a lot of people.
Well, and I know that Representative Cameron's office has been involved. I've seen them put out a couple of press releases.
Yeah, it just seems like the last farm bill we passed, I don't know when exactly that last meeting was, but farm bill money that goes towards broadband access and then things that being going to, like, a little update on it. Might be good, just an idea.
Someone online have a comment?
Yes, I have a comment. I know if the pandemic taught us anything, it taught us that we definitely need internet, like he said about his wife, working from home, the kids in those rural areas that had to do online school and that nature. And I understand earlier you was talking about libraries and partnership, but you got some rural areas that don't have library near, homes and stuff like that. So I think it's very important. Right now, internet is, part of our daily lives. I don't think, right now with the way we set up with technology, if we can just run without it.
Okay, so I guess I'm sort of hearing that maybe some type of broadband presentation.
One thing I learned in our community, we just had one string to put in fiber, so I work from home, I have 100 megs up, 100 megs down, which is very nice. I did not realize until we got into discussion, a homeowners association pays Windstream to put in the fiber. Fiber is not regulated as the territory. Copper is regulated by territory. So we would need to know what areas of the county fall under what restrictions. Cox, Gainesville Utilities, Regional Utilities, AT&T. I know AT&T does not want. They wouldn't be you if you sold your home in our subdivision, but if you owners did not assume. So we paid to put in the fiber and the install, so we go up to, I think, 500 or something. So upper limits beyond anybody's needs. That's one thing we need to look at is what areas of the county fall under what franchise.
So I will say, is there somebody at the county who can maybe talk to us about that? Because I know at the end of my road is Cox, but I have to pay $18,000 to get on Cox connection. One road over is Cox and AT&T, every other property. And so if you're on the property with AT&T, you can get one thing. If you're on a property with Cox, you can't get anything because Cox doesn't want to come down the road. Because while they are a Cox property and not an AT&T property, Cox is on the road, so they don't have an option. So if maybe we could understand the structure of that better before we understand how to approach it.
What they look at is based on our experience.
Mr. Chair, I can check and see if there's either someone from ITS department or economic development or someone that might be able to address.
We should be able to have in the county that lays out what areas are covered by what.
And for us, for USDA, so there's more money in housing, it's not my area, but we do have, especially here in Gainesville, actually. State runs out of Gainesville, so if you're a utility asking for money to do that, you go to their rural utility service, and they got money for that. If you're a business, on a half broadband, you can go to their rural business service.
Maybe we need to be talking to USDA.
Yeah, they have, but that's not my area, I can ask them, they kind of, they can just send the state director.
Like maybe a presentation from an outside group that's not Cox, that we all talk to Cox. Everybody's just
So maybe we can do a couple, we'll keep the USDA, see if someone from county IT, and have a little panel discussion, with them. So that would give us 2 topics, which is probably plenty enough. Does that sound reasonable for what we're gonna do at the next meeting? Topics, if we can get folks.
Right, with the USDA.
So, you want to say it again, Juan?
Yeah, so there's, you can ask rural utility service, talks to utilities, the rural business service, talks to businesses that want banks. Coming from the county, just talk to the state director. I can send you their credentials. Yeah, GS is fully laughing to you right now, just acting guy right now, but what's that? Thank you.
Okay, if that's okay with everyone, that's what we'll proceed, with there. And now, down to that last one, for old business, any report, Ken, on alternate?
So we've looked at 3 potential locations on the side of Gainesville. I've got a list of them I will share here. Okay, so Alachua County Health Department, it's on Southeast 24th Street off of, Hawthorne Road. That's probably the biggest space. We bulleted some of the, the pros and cons to think about. So available till 5, so the meeting we'd have to be out of the space by 5. So that might involve starting a little bit early for those meetings. Stone Park Library is available till 6. That's a room, it's probably, my calculation is probably about half the size of this room we're in right now. Then there's the G-Tech building, which I'm in communication with them about that. Again, it's about a room about half the size of the one we're in now. I believe that they're going to say yes to rural concerns using it. They haven't formally done that, but the communication we've had seems they're just processing that, that approval. We should hear from them any day. I was hoping we would hear from them by now, but there's no, according to them, there's no time restriction at all on that. They can give us some type of an access card that we can come and go if we need to. So there wouldn't be a time that we would have to get out by in that space. And I know we've probably brought this up before. There's the county's administration building space in the county building. It has all the equipment already there. Is the big advantage to that. We just walk in and having to bring our stuff with us. I don't believe there's any time restrictions to that. We could go in. Those are 4 options to consider. And we also need to think about specific dates. What would the quarterly
where did meeting dates be?
Yeah, so we're talking about if we do anything, doing it on a trial basis quarterly, sort of move it. So that would be 3 or 4 times a year. I mean, my thought process is it's either the first or the last meeting of whatever the quarter is, and it's consistent over time. We're probably not quite there yet. The other thing I would like everyone to be aware of, and I usually get here about a half hour early, but, and I've stuck around, and they're troopers about it, but the IT folks from the county, Ken, Regina are out here probably an hour before, hauling stuff in, hauling equipment out. Today, we ran into a problem, like something doesn't work, and, you know, got to get folks back out, and the staff do so much. I don't think we can put excess burden on them, but if it's okay with the group, what I would like you to think about these, and I think Ken's pointed out, I would ask that, could we send this out immediately to the folks so they can start thinking about it? I'm not sure how feasible it is for people to meet earlier. That's one thing, and that's the issue with the health department. I've done many meetings out there, there's plenty of room, things like that. And then you get down to, you know, you have to bring all this stuff with you and set it up, and then if there's problems, that's the other week. But the only one that we've talked about in detail in advance is the county administration building. Some folks have expressed concerns with the location downtown and not far enough. So just keep that in mind and see if we can go into some type of preference ordering to do some trial quarterly meetings next calendar year on this.
And Mr. Chair, I would add, so if the committee can tell us some type of preference ordering any of these, we can then go as needed and do our testing and things, and, you know, make sure that all that's feasible, once the committee says that they're interested in one.
I would go with the county building as well. As we go there for the land conservative building, it's a lot of space, and like you said, far as time constraints, you know, far as you have to haul stuff in, you won't have to do that. So I think it's a lot of space in the county building. It well for social distance or anything that any concerns anybody might have. So yeah, we meet there regularly. So once a month.
Would we want to mail you back with our preferences?
Say that again. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just asking if, maybe we could rank our preferences, in email form, and we could get it in by the end of this week, and then the county staff could collate it and see, in order of vote, which location to check out first.
They're all within like 2 miles of each other, correct?
They're very close.
So I don't know if I necessarily have a preference when it comes to those places, so whatever's available.
So, Ken and Regina, then I guess we'll send out a survey on preference ranking of these 4 locations. And just to clarify and give ourselves the maximum amount of time, would it be okay if we say that we would do this starting on a trial basis, starting our March meeting of 2020, which would be the last month of the quarter of the calendar year?
That's fine with me. This is Janet.
Okay.
That's fine with me, but I just wanted to say in general, thank you very much for looking into this. I really appreciate it.
The other thing, and I just wonder if Ken can enlighten us, how long do you see the county going with allowing these hybrid meetings?
At this point, indefinitely. I mean, I don't know that there's, direction to not do it. Seems like there's a preference or an encouragement
for it, just because it allows, another option for people to participate, whether it's the committee members or the public. So I don't have any direction that they're gonna be winding down or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, so.
Well, I just think we need to keep that in mind because we had a vote today that was 6-2, okay? We've got 3 people that are, online that can't vote, that could normally vote. So, there could be some issues we come into that could be more controversial and it could tip the balance on who attends and who doesn't attend. So just keep that in mind that I think we're gonna try to be open-minded on it and at least do it on a trial basis based on what we've heard from some.
Could you also tell us a little bit more about parking downtown? Just, it says that it said at the bottom, I think there was 3.
City parking.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the parking garage, that's,
Across
to
Marsh
the
Road.
west, yeah, a couple
Where the
blocks.
high-rise, the building, apartments above Mark's Restaurant, so it'd be a block south and, about a block east of the county.
I think it used to be anyway, there was a Lucy's bar restaurant on the corner
Okay.
next to it.
Okay, that's free?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's free,
It's
if
free.
you're attending a county.
No, we've never actually had to use it that way, I don't think, but whether there's some type of a validation that the county gives you,
I've used it only when I've been called for jury duty and they give you a voucher
yeah.
from the court and you.
I can get that detail, and when we send this email out with the holding, I can.
Okay, if you do that, we appreciate it. Hopefully these next couple of things will be, simple. One thing I firmly believe in, Commissioner Alford, even though it was fortunate given us a fair amount of her time, we had, the commissioner from Newberry come in and talk to us about Springs County. We did something for, Bill Brown's wife for his, death and stuff like that. I would just be interested, if the committee is comfortable enough to give the chair, the opportunity to send thank you notes for people who give us time to come in and present to us without having to formally go through what we have been. Someone that thinks that's okay, that would make a motion.
I move to give authorization to the chair to send thank you letters on behalf of the committee.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Then the last thing, we have formally is amended to the bylaws, and Kim's got that on the screen. I don't think it'll generate a lot of discussion, but it's just going back to the county's current rules and making us.
Right. So the section, and this is for consistency with the board guidelines, about 6 months ago, right about the time we amended these bylaws, guidelines amended back to this attendance policy. So, attendance policy, and it's the one that we're using in effect now, where it must be at least present at least 50% of the last 6 weeks. So you must be physically or remote attendance at least 3 of the last.
Put your mask in your backpack and get your pencil. Put your pencil in the backpack.
Chris, mute your mic.
On the ground.
So, does everybody understand what the attendance policy is and how it works?
So, and for this to pass, we need a 2/3 vote of the membership present and voting. That would be 8. So basically, we would have to have,
I have a question about the bylaws.
hey, Mr. Bay.
Yeah, on the portion, let me see, the portion where, you know, I don't know what's the significance of have to change that part of the less than 50 or 50 or less, 50% or less. I'm not sure of that. And then also where we taking the hands out of the county commission, taking the power, you know, saying that because there can be bias, I think with any job, any corporation, you know, you get a chance to appeal your decision. You know, most jobs you get fired. Okay, you can appeal it, or you know, you just be fired. I mean, most organizations have an appeal process, and you saying, and this saying, not you, but from what I'm reading is saying that you would no longer have that process. So that's something that I feel that is I have a problem with. I think is very biased.
So I'll let Ken explain, but I believe this is the county rule. It's not anything that we do. This is the Board of County Commissioners and the rules they've adopted for the committees of the county.
Right, the committee's bylaws need to be, they must be consistent with the board's rules. So this is just to make them consistent with exactly what the board's rule is. And it actually, by going to 50% minimum attendance, it actually became a more lenient attendance policy at the same time as the extenuating circumstance clause got removed. So it's a little bit of a give and take there.
So, Mr. Baines, my short reply is we can't do anything that's inconsistent with the county policy. This is the county policy. All we're doing is putting it in our bylaws.
Okay. So so I guess in other words, they say that we got a whole bunch of people knocking down the doors to be a part of these committees then.
I don't know if I'd say that, but they are having multiple people that apply. Eventually, it may take a few months for them to happen, but I sometimes scroll through some of that stuff, and there's a lot of committees that have multiple people applying for it. So, you know, and I would say I hear your concern. I would suggest that's probably, if you want to address that issue, you probably need to go to the citizen comment of the Board of County Commission meeting and say, I'm on an advisory committee, and this concerns me, and this is why, that, you know, that there's not some type of appeal thing that was left in there, and they will politely listen to you. I have no idea if that will motivate them to reconsider that. Any other questions?
I move that we approve the amendment to the Alachua County Advisory Committee, Rural Concerns Bylaws.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimously. Any other committee members got anything they want to bring up quickly? I still see we don't have any public, so I will ask any public comment. How about comment from online, members online? Janet, Chris, Dwayne, any last comments?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Yeah, me either.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Moved by Cindy and seconded by, pick somebody, heard someone, Jean Chance, that we adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pardon?
November 16th.
Okay, thank you for being here. for moving through the agenda.